I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending April Fool's Day, which that's kind of what it was there, middle of the week on the board. Brought to you in part by the American Simmental Association. You know, it's a scientific fact that the most durable and fertile female is a crossbred. See what Sim Genetics can do for you. Go to simmental.org. Well, we started out lower, some lower early in the week, and then the board really tanked there on Wednesday and scared people into thinking we was going to go into some kind of a big sell-off. But then, due to that prospective plantings report on the corn there, corn went down over 15 cents on Thursday, taking the feeder cattle futures up the limit, and then it kind of moderated out on Friday because nobody was really sure what to do. But live cattle futures on Friday, the April contract was up a nickel. It was on both sides of steady all day, ending the week at 132.97. Now it looks to me like, and everybody else, that we're going to keep trading in this 130 to 140. We've been between 130 and 140 all year so far. But if you look at those out fronts, it doesn't show to be very good. It goes from 123 in June all the way down to 109 for next August, and that doesn't sound very good at all. Your feeder cattle, like we said, the April contract and all the contracts that are quoted on the board were up the limit on Thursday, then come back on Friday down 87 cents, which isn't horrible, but ending the week at 156.20. Your CME cash feeder cattle index for the last quoted one to come out on Friday, which is really for Thursday's sales, was 158.53, which was up 32 cents. Now, real-time index on Cattle Market Central is up to date through Friday and was actually down pretty good on Friday at 155.73. Your fat cattle sold 3 days this week, and that we don't ever see, hardly ever. And not just a trade here or there, but pretty decent, significant trade, enough to really call a market off of on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Through Thursday's recap, 43,000, and had a pretty good sales on Friday, so they're going to get back up there pretty good. Nebraska sold some cattle on Friday, 135 to 135 and a half, which would be $1 higher than earlier in the week, but still $1 to $1.50 lower than the previous week. And had a few dress sales at 216 up in the northern plains, and that was on the high side of the range. They were ranging from 214 to 216, but it was mostly 214 and 215 earlier in the week. Your box beef has really been tough, and you know, it made a pretty good rally there as we had that early spring, but then last week it was down like 10 bucks, and then this week your weekly trades ended up for the week of choice was at 222.46 on the average, which was down $4.16 from the previous week. Select at 212.91, which was down $4.89. Next week doesn't appear to be a real good week for the fat cattle trade because we've already heard that some of the plants are going to be closed some for cooler cleaning. But these packers are still making some money on this cattle, on these cattle they're selling, and still even at the level that box beef is at now. And we're expecting box beef to kind of bottom out here as we get closer to Mother's Day and a lot of grilling holidays coming up here this summer. But getting back to your limit up feeder cattle there on Thursday, all due to the prospective plantings report that come out and said that these corn farmers are going to plant a whole lot more corn acres than what the analyst had predicted. You would think after people lose money time and time again they would move to something else, but corn farmer is going to plant corn. You know, what's he going to brag about when he gets to the coffee shop if he doesn't have a corn yield to compare with his buddies and stuff? But that's just what they do. There's some places, you know, there's not a whole lot of other things you can do besides beans, and some guys just don't like to plant beans as well. But we're going to have the third highest planted acres of corn since 1944, and it was sharply bearish for your corn market. Like I said, it was down over 15 cents. But and it was positive for feeder cattle on Thursday, and it gives the feeder cattle a little jolt. And also it gives us a good idea that these farmer feeders in the Midwest are going to be back in the market this fall for another round of feeder cattle, because they're going to walk some of that corn to town A lot of them are trying to get their bins emptied out now so that whenever this crop comes in, they'll have a place to put it. But there's a lot of grain being stored out there, and the farmer feeders have really been in the market for the last couple of years. You know, they got spoiled there with $6 and $7 corn and let their lots grow up in weeds and weren't really interested in feeding any cattle. But since we've come off those highs and got the corn back cheap again, they've really come back into the market. And that's one thing that could really be terrible for the cattle industry, is if we had a dry year and the corn starts to get high, or if interest starts to get high, that could be bad for feeding cattle. They've already lost a whole lot of margin due to the market, and really can't stand that on their inputs. But your cash feeder cattle, all classes really were weak to $5 lower this week. Had spots $10 lower, and that was really throughout. But really on lighter receipts this week, as you would think we would be still having decent receipts till we get into that summer lull, but we're right in that little eddy between having your traditional wheat cattle come off and then having your graze out wheat cattle come off. And there's a lot of cattle on graze out wheat. It's amazing how good that wheat looks in the southern plains, as dry as the winter has been, but really still lush wheat out there, and a lot of graze out prospects out there, and a lot of cattle turned out on it. But look at a specific market there late in the week on Friday in Bloomington, Wisconsin, at the Bloomington Livestock Exchange. They can sell cattle there, and then evidently they've got some farmer feeders that are going to go ahead and feed some cattle even while they're planting their corn. But they had a load of 749 pound steers, which is right what the CME index and what the board indicates on, is that a 750 pound steer bring 168, and that's a $10 premium to what the index is right now. Check out DV Auction this Saturday and pretty much every day, but we're getting towards the end of our big spring bull sales. I'm out here in Loma, Colorado. We're out on the western side at the Diamond Peak sale here, going to happen on Saturday. But check out your DV Auction schedule and find a sale that you're interested in for some breeding stock bulls and females. And on the road here with DV Auction, we'll talk to you on Wednesday.